So good afternoon to one and all. So in the previous lecture, we have discussed about the different components of man instrumentation system and also what are the different problems which are occurred while measuring the physiological parameters. Okay, and today's session we'll see so physiological systems of the body. Physiological systems of the body. So what are the different systems which are present, main systems which are present in the body? So those we will see. Okay. So as an engineer, biomedical engineer, so we should know the structure of the body or living body and the functionality of each and I mean major systems of the body. Okay. So then we can understand so how the different instruments can be used for measurement of these physiological parameters. Okay, so the science of structure of body is known as anatomy. The science of structure of the body is known as anatomy, and the function of that particular body is known as physiology. Okay, so the structure, so how it is constructed, so that is nothing but the anatomy, and the functionality of that particular part of the uh, body, that organ, we can call it as physiology. How it will be functions, the function of the organ is called as physiology, and the structure of the that particular organ of the body is called as anatomy. Okay. Human body is a complex engineering marvel, so it is a, we can say it is a marvel means, so in Telugu it is adbhutam. Okay, so complex engineering marvel, human body, so which contains physical types of systems such as electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, chemical, and thermal, etc. So it is having all the engineering fields we are seen in engineering studies. So all such types of the systems will be present in our human body. So such as electrical systems, mechanical, hydraulic. Okay. So hydraulic is related to blood, and pneumatic, so it is related to the air, so related to respiratory system. Okay, and chemical. Okay, so the energy generated in the body which are related to chemical, and cell cell energy, so which is generated from the chemical energy, and thermal energy, so this is related to so the generation of the heat in the body. Okay, due to cells. Okay, so all these such engineering types of the fields will be present in our human body. Okay, so these systems are communicate internally with each other and also with the external environment. Okay, so all these systems will be communicated to each other. Okay, and it is also communicate with the external environment. So suppose we have sensors. With these sensor systems, we can observe the it will interact with the external environment. Okay, so like this we have different communication systems, and similarly by means of multi-level control system we have and communication network. Okay, the individual systems enable the human body to perform useful tasks, sustain life, and reproduce itself. Okay, by using it has a multi-level control system. Okay, highly control system is there. Okay, and having a communication network, so with that the individual parts or organs of the body of the human body will perform the required tasks, and it will be able to perform the different parts of the body to be able to perform its functionality, and by that the human life will be sustaining. Okay, so the major subsystems of the body is given below, and which are illustrate the engineering aspects of the human body. So here we will see the major subsystems of the human body. So, and in this we will see the how the each subsystem will be functions. Okay, what are the functionality of the each subsystem? So coming to the major subsystems are cardiac vascular system or cardiovascular system, respiratory system, nervous system, digestive system, reproductive system, and biochemical system. So cardiovascular system. So this is related to the functioning of the heart. It relates to the blood supply from the heart to lungs and lungs to heart and heart to different parts of the body. And second one is the respiratory system. So this respiratory system will gives the functioning of the oxygen, lungs, functioning of the lungs. So how the lungs will be absorbs the oxygen from the air and exchange the or deoxygenated blood, okay, and releases the CO2. So the functionality of the lungs will be explained in respiratory system and the nervous system. So in the nervous system, how the brain to the other parts of the um, uh, parts of the body, it will be communicates. Okay, and digestive system. So in this digestive system, so it can be used for uh, digestive of the taken food. Okay, similarly reproductive system. Okay, and biochemical system. So out of these, we will study about cardiovascular system, respiratory system, and nervous system in detail. Okay, so and these are main vital functions required to carry out the various body functions. Okay, to carry out the various body functions, these are main required subsystems. So the first one is cardiovascular system is a complex closed hydraulic system. So the cardiovascular system, the first one is cardiovascular system. It is a complex closed hydraulic system. So it is nothing but a hydraulic system. So because it will be uses blood, is a liquid form. So the pumping of the liquid is nothing, that is nothing but blood. So will be considered as it is hydraulic system. If the pumping of the medium is that is air, we can consider it as a pneumatic system, or the flowing of the air to the different the lungs can be considered as pneumatic system. The flowing of the blood or liquid will be considered as it is hydraulic system. Flowing of the electrons is considered as it is electrical system. Okay, like this we have uh, a cardiovascular system is a complex closed hydraulic system which performs the essential service of transportation of oxygen, carbon dioxide, numerous chemical compounds, and blood cells. So it transports the blood. Okay, so in that blood we have different types of the compounds and gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. So by considering the cardiovascular system, the main part is the heart. Okay, the main part of the cardiovascular system is the heart, and heart is divided into right and left parts. So I think you are studied in biology, maybe studied in biology. Okay, so that is right heart and left heart. We can divide the heart into two parts physically. Okay, we can divide in two parts, that is right heart and left heart. Okay, and each part has two chambers. One is called atrium and another one is called ventricle. Okay, so here right heart and left heart. Right heart having two chambers again. So upper chamber is called as atrium and down chamber is called as ventricle. So that is called as right atrium and right ventricle. Similarly, on the right side of the heart, left side of the heart, we have similar parts, that is atrium and ventricle, and those are called as left atrium and left ventricle. So this figure shows the main parts of the heart. Okay, so so here uh, uh, this is the right atrium. So this is the half of the, I mean, right heart of the heart, right, right part of the heart, and this is the left part of the left, and this is the right. Okay, so when it is the figure showing that, so when we are observing some others heart like that. Okay, so when we see the others heart, the position is like this. Okay, his his left is our right, and our left is his right. Okay, so like that we will be observe uh, the the figure of the heart. Okay, so the right side of the heart, the right side of the heart is divided into two parts. One is right atrium, this is the right atrium, and this is the right ventricle. Chambers, we can call those are chambers, upper chamber and down chambers. Okay, so upper chamber is called as right atrium, so it is a chamber, and down chamber is called as right ventricle. Similarly, on the left side we have left ventricle. This is left ventricle, and here it is left atrium. So this one is left atrium. Okay, so combinedly left right atrium and left atrium are combinedly called as atria. Plural form of these atriums is called as atria. Okay, um, so first of all, here we have valves. Valves are there. So so here this is the valve. Okay, so this valve is called tricuspid valve. Tricuspid valve. Okay, so and this one is a pulmonary valve. Pulmonary valve. This is the valve. Okay, valves are usually for opening and closing of the blood flow. Okay, and similarly for the left side, we have two valves. So this is the mitral valve. This is mitral valve, and this is the aortic valve. Aortic valve. This is aortic valve, and this is the mitral valve. So mitral I will see. So this is a tricuspid valve. So this tricuspid valve will separate the right atrium and right ventricle. Okay, when the blood is coming from different parts of the body. Okay, so superior vena cava. This is the superior vena cava, and downside we have inferior vena cava. So the blood from different parts of the body, from the downside of the body, that is from legs and digestive system, the blood is collected through inferior vena cava. The blood from the legs and digestive system, the blood will be collected through the inferior vena cava, and the blood from head, legs, sorry, hands, the blood from head and hands will be collected through superior vena cava. So that will also I will show in the next figure. Okay, so uh, here we will show the chambers and the different valves. Okay, so the tricuspid valve will separates the right atrium and right ventricle. Okay, and after the right ventricle, the blood is pumped to pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. Okay, so through this pulmonary artery, the blood is sent to lungs. Through this pulmonary artery, the blood is sent to lungs, where the blood will be purified. Okay, so there in the lungs, the deoxygenated blood will be converted into oxygenated blood by receiving the oxygen from the air and delivering the CO2 to the atmosphere. Okay, and the oxygenated rich blood will be received from the lungs through pulmonary veins. Through pulmonary veins, the blood purified in the lungs will be received through pulmonary veins, and from here the blood will be filled in the left atrium. The blood from the lungs, purified blood with the in the purified blood will be collected to the left atrium. Okay, so when the left atrium to, it will sends to the left ventricle, left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it sends to the aorta. Okay, so here from this aorta the blood will be sent to different parts of the organs, different parts of the body. So like this, the blood will be collected from superior vena cava, okay, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So through this the blood is collected, okay, from the upper parts of the body will be collected through superior vena cava, and lower part of the body the blood is collected through inferior vena cava. So these are like a pipeline structure. So the blood will be collected through this uh, okay, so and that blood will be first of all fills in the right atrium. The blood will be fills in the right atrium. So when the sufficient pressure is built up, sufficient pressure is built up in the right atrium, the tricuspid valve will be opens. The tricuspid valve will be opens, and due to that, the blood in this right atrium will be fills the flows to the right ventricle. When there is sufficient pressure was built up in the right ventricle, this tricuspid valve will be closes because of the developed pressure in the right ventricle. Then the blood from the right atrium to right ventricle will be stops. If still further pressure is developed, okay, so then what happens? The blood will be the blood from the right ventricle will be sent to the pulmonary artery. Okay, so pulmonary arteries by pulmonary valve. So by using the pulmonary valve opening, when the sufficient pressure develops in the right ventricle, the blood from the right ventricle will be sent to pulmonary artery through pulmonary valve, through pulmonary valve. And from here the blood is here this blood is deoxygenated blood. Okay, so it contains the different compounds and CO2. Okay, you can say after utilization of the blood, okay, that is called as deoxygenated blood. Okay, so that deoxygenated blood will be sent to lungs. So in the lungs, this deoxygenated blood will be converted into oxygenated blood by receiving the oxygen from the air. Okay, so we will see that also how this deoxygenated blood will be converted into oxygenated blood in a respiratory system. So next we will see that one. Okay, so in the lungs, the deoxygenated blood will be converted into the oxygenated blood, and that oxygen rich in blood will be from the uh, lungs will be received by these pulmonary veins, and from these pulmonary veins the blood will be fills in the left atrium, fills in the left atrium. Okay, when the blood is sufficient to fill it in this left atrium, the pressure will be build ups, and due to that the mitral valve, this is the mitral valve will be opens, and due to that the air the blood will be fills into the left ventricle. When there is sufficient pressure is build ups in this left ventricle, this mitral valve will be closes, and due to the developed pressure in the left ventricle, the aortic valve. So this is the aortic valve. So this aortic valve, which is connected to the left ventricle, is opens. Okay, and due to that, the blood will be sent to the aorta. So this aorta is connected to different parts of the body. So like that, the blood will be sent to so different parts of the body through aorta. Okay, so like this, again the blood will be sent to different parts of the body. Okay, so there the oxygenated blood will be absorbed by the different organs. Okay, and they will be produces some um, I mean, so converts that oxygenated blood into deoxygenated blood, and that exchange of the products what we are taken, I mean, from the digestive system we will absorb some food. Okay, and that will be converted into the energy form. Okay, so there some different food will be, I mean, some compounds of the energy will be generated, and similarly oxygenated blood will be converted into the deoxygenated blood, and that again that deoxygenated blood will be sent to heart through inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. So again the heart pump. So this is nothing but a pump. Heart is a pump. Okay, it will again fill up the blood in the right atrium and sends to the right ventricle, and from that it will sends to the lungs, and where that deoxygenated blood will be converted into the deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood will be converted into oxygenated blood. Okay, that blood will be again collects through pulmonary veins. Okay, and left ventricle, left atrium will be fills, and through that left ventricle will be also fills and develops some pressure, and due to that it will be sent to the blood to different parts of the organs. Like this, the function of the heart will be the the structure and function of the heart will be, you can observe. Okay, so I was explained that is the different parts of the heart and the circulation of the blood, circulation system of the heart. Okay, so here it will give us the information about the different valves which are present in the heart. So the tricuspid valve, that is nothing but right atrioventricle valve. Okay, so right atrioventricle valve. So it is between right atrium and right ventricle. So it prevents backward flow of blood from right ventricle to the right atrium. Okay. So the next one is bicuspid mitral or left atrioventricle valve. That is pulmonary valve. Pulmonary valve. It is between the left. Sorry. This is mitral valve. So mitral valve is between left atrium and left ventricle. Pulmonary valve. So it is at right ventricle. So at the end of the right ventricle we have. Okay. So it does not allow blood to come back to the right ventricle. And similarly, we have aortic valve. It is at the between left ventricle and aorta. So the end of the this heart will be called as aorta. Okay, and its construction is like pulmonary valve. Okay, the valves prevents the return of blood back to the left ventricle from aorta. So these valves are used for, I mean, the function of the valves is they does not allow the blood to come back. Okay, and the heart will be placed between the structure. It will be having 3 layers. So the heart is covered by 3 layers. So the first one is pericardium. So which is the outer layer of the heart. So which is the outer layer of the heart. It keeps the outer surface moist and prevents friction as the heart beats. Okay, so it keeps the outer surface moist. Okay, and the inner or middle layer of the heart is nothing but the myocardium. Pericardium, myocardium, and endocardium. So pericardium is the outer layer, myocardium is middle layer, and endocardium is inner layer. So outer layer purpose is to keep the outer surface moist and prevents the friction as the heart beats. Similarly, myocardium is nothing but middle layer of the heart. It is the main muscle of the heart. Because of that only the functioning of the heart occurs. It is made of short cylindrical fibers. The muscle is automatic in action, contracting and relaxing the rhythmical throughout the life. So myocardium is the middle layer of the heart. Okay, and the heart functioning. So heart will be contracts and relaxes. Okay, so when the heart contracts means it is nothing but decreases its volume, and when relaxing means it will releases its muscles. By contract it will produces the pressure. By relaxing the pressure will be decreases. Okay, so like that we have the myocardium is important fibers. These are nothing but the layer, and this layer is main reason for contraction and releases of the heart chambers. Okay, due to that the pressure difference will be produced, and due to that pressure variations, the blood will be sent to different parts of the body. And the last one is endocardium. So endocardium is inner layer of the heart. It provides a smooth lining for the blood to flow. It provides smooth lining. The blood inside the heart chambers will to provide lining for the blood to flow. So like this we have pericardium, myocardium and endocardium. So these are the different layers of the heart. In this below these layers we have the different chambers of the heart. Okay, so here we have another, that is blood carrying tubes you can use. So how the blood will be sent to different parts of the body, and how the blood will be collected from different parts of the body, and how these are, for that purpose we can use some blood tubes. So these are nothing but hollow tubes. Okay, so the blood is carried to the various parts of the body through blood vessels. We can call those are called blood vessels, which are hollow tubes, blood vessels. Okay, so that is nothing but the carrying tubes are called as blood vessels. And there are three types of blood vessels: arteries, veins and capillaries. So arteries are thick walled and they carry the oxygenated blood away from the heart. So the arteries are nothing but it will carries the oxygenated blood from the heart to different parts. Veins are thin walled and carry deoxygenated blood towards the heart. So what we are explaining, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So these are connected to veins. Okay, and from the veins will be carries the deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body towards the heart. Arteries are used for carrying the oxygenated blood to the different parts of the body or away from the heart. And the capillaries are the smallest and the last level of the blood vessels. Okay, here here this is the arteries, and here we have capillary structure. Okay, so here we have some capillaries. These are ultimate capillaries. Okay, so this is the arteries, and these are veins. Okay, so from the arteries, the oxygenated blood from the heart. Okay, so the oxygenated blood will be coming through this arteries, and here these capillaries will be absorbs this oxygenated blood. Okay, oxygenated blood, the present proteins and which are present in the oxygenated blood will be absorbed, and uh, due to that it will be produces the deoxygenated blood. So that deoxygenated blood will be sent to veins, and these veins will be carries the deoxygenated blood to the heart, and this is from the heart. The oxygenated blood will be comes from the heart, and here the capillaries will be absorbed that oxygenated rich blood and converts into the deoxygenated blood, and that deoxygenated blood will be sent to again to the heart. Through the heart it will be sent to lungs, where the lungs will be purified through this deoxygenated blood into the oxygenated blood, and oxygen rich blood will be collected again to the left atrium, and from the left atrium to left ventricles to different parts of the body. Like this the circulation of the blood will be happens. Okay, so generally for a normal adult the 72 times per minute. Okay, the heart will beats for 72 minutes per 72 times per minute. Okay, and Here the pump will be acts as synchronized but functionally isolated two-stage pumps. The first stage of pump is atrium and collects blood from the hydraulic system and pumps it into second stage, that is the ventricle. Okay, here we have two types of circulations. One is pulmonary circulation and second one is systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation is used for sending of the blood from heart to lungs and lungs to heart. Okay, so from the right ventricle we will send the blood to deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and after purifying that blood, the oxygenated rich blood will be collects from the lungs and to the heart, left atrium. Okay, so the circulation of this blood from heart to lungs and lungs to heart is called as pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary corresponds to the lungs. Okay, heart to lungs. And the next one is systemic circulation. So systemic circulation is corresponds to the supply of the blood and receiving of the blood from different parts of the body will be considered as systemic circulation. That is called as systemic circulation. So the blood from the heart to different parts of the body and collecting from different parts of the body is called as systemic circulation. Okay, so these are the two types of the circulation we can see here. So these are the upper parts of the body. So this is the head, okay, and this is the lungs. So lungs will be receives the oxygen and releases the CO2. Okay, and here we have a sinus node. So it is our sinus node on the upper part of the right atrium. We have a sinus node. Okay, so that sinus node functionality is which produces the electrical pulses, and due to that electrical pulses and the heart will be contracts and releases. Okay, so the origin of these electrical pulses is called as sinus node, and it is also called as pacemaker. It is also called as pacemaker. So this pacemaker will be used to produce the electrical pulses, natural electrical pulses, and those electrical pulses, small electrical pulses in terms of millivolts you can produce, and those will be transferred or transported to other parts of the heart. From right atrium to it will be transferred to other parts of the body. Okay, here we have another node, that is atrioventrical node. Atrioventrical node. Okay, from the sinus node it will produces the electrical pulses, and those electrical pulses will be transferred to the left atrium and it will be transferred to the atrioventrical node, AV node. We can call it as AV node, atrioventrical node. And after that, this node, after receiving these pulses, this node will be excited, and due to that, it will produces the again electrical pulses, and those pulses will be travels through some fibers. Okay, and those fibers will be situated above these ventricles. Okay, those fibers are called as Purkinje fibers. Okay, this all we will study in later. Okay, so those generated pulses will be transferred to some fiber network, and those fiber network, the pulses will be transferred to the right ventricle and the left ventricle, and due to that, these ventricles will be makes contract and releases. Okay, when the contracted, the blood will be sent to the blood will be pumped out. When the relaxed, the blood will be receives. Okay, so like this, the blood will be sent to different part. So first of all, from the head, this is the arrow, from the head and the lower parts of the body, legs, kidneys, and intestine and liver. So the blood will be deoxygenated blood will be received through the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava to the right atrium, and there it will sends to the right atrium, and from right atrium it will sends to two lungs of the two lungs, and there the oxygen will be receives, absorbs, and CO2 will be releases, and the oxygenated blood will be again from this lung, again the oxygenated blood will be collected to the left atrium, and from the left atrium the blood will be sent to left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it will sends to aorta, and from the aorta it will sends to different parts of the body. So like this the circulation system of the heart will be happens, okay, every time. So like this the heart will be acts as a pump, okay, due to the electrical impulses, and these impulses will make the heart contracts and relaxes, okay, releases, and due to that the pressure inside these ventricles will be increases and decreases, and due to that the blood will be pumping to the different parts of the body, okay. So like this we can explain the functioning of the heart or cardiovascular system. So within 1 minute, the session is closing. So we'll see. We'll see tomorrow also we have one lecture. We will also arrange a class on tomorrow.